Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian, and if you've been watching this series, we've been reacting to Bellular's first impressions of Final Fantasy XIV. It's released it outright currently in 3 videos, and you guys have been sending these my way, so typically I don't do reaction content here, but this is video number 3, so maybe that's not going to be something that makes sense in saying, but regardless, be sure to check out the other content I have on the channel. You can always subscribe and unsubscribe later if you don't end up liking this, if this is a video that YouTube randomly recommends to you. Hello and welcome, and thanks for being here. So this is a typically shorter video, basically talking about like 14's content comparison to World of Warcraft. And if you guys are wanting more insight from another WoW player besides Michael in this case, be sure to go check out Gaming Kinda, aka Chris. He's got way more experience on it. I'm looking forward to his reaction, and actually here in a little bit we're going to collab together today and talk about these videos and give you guys our thoughts over on Work to Game. So whether you're coming from Work to Game, Gaming Kinda, or Ginger Prime, or heck, even Bellular's channel, hello, and let's go ahead and dive right on into it. All right. Boom. Typically they kind of start with what they ended last time.
That's something, I think, to meet and Walker. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's
not much from Blizzard to compete.
It's going to be like we were saying earlier about 9.1.5 being more keeping people instead of bringing in new ones.
Yeah.
That's what they'll have to do with TBC Classic, and that's, I think they may have wounded, with all that drama, they may have wounded some of the people who will jump into it on June 1st or June 2nd, whatever. But
they need to learn public relations. It continually blows my mind, like, how bad Blizzard are at PR.
Yeah.
You'd think that being such a, outwardly community-facing company, they would have got good at this, but they're basically awful at it.
Well, that's the problem. If you're not inwardly community-facing, then all the messages inside will be garbled and not for players. So it's a case where I feel like a good social media and PR person is basically like opening a little window into the company at the best of times.
Yeah.
And going like, oh, look what we're doing internally. Isn't this really cool? Wouldn't you love to play? They close the curtains again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you open the curtains on Blizzard and inside, they're not constantly striving for community purposes and all that stuff. And they are, like largely being run, well, this is not really true, but a lot of like the drama being run monetization. If that stuff's happening internally.
Monetization is such a dramatic issue within gaming, and I know where I've shared it before multiple times, but I don't think there's a win. Really, like you're gonna there'll be gamers like me who are like, okay, let's look at it from a business perspective in degrees, but there's still like, I mean, that line is so hard to walk. It's so hard to have that conversation on the internet as well, because I think it requires more like direct dialogue rather than like, here's what I think about monetization, because there's always going to be examples of where it just can go wrong really quickly or has gone wrong, and case in point with like New World versus, WoW. I mean, heck, they both have cash shops. 14 has a cash shop. Like, where does it come from? And I think what they're kind of hinting at right here is really interesting, talking about kind of PR and the relationship that they have with it. I think it's all, like, monetization has to be built off of trust. I think monetization has to be built off of trust with these games. And what I see from an outsider's perspective in the WoW community, but what I have felt and participate in the 14 community, is that we trust Yoshi P, we trust the devs. You might not necessarily like a particular patch over one another, but in the case of WoW, like, it just continues to have this like, kind of this march of like, all right, I guess we're just going to lose some more subscribers. I guess we're just going to do this. And Matt kind of hit at the point like where 9.15 is more tried about maybe keep current subscribers than actually bring in new ones. And that's unfortunate. Like, the big patches always can kind of tend to offer a new invitation. Expansions can do the same thing as well. And maybe that ends up just being the model, is that we know we're going to get them back with the expansion. We know we're going to get their every 2-year, fee, and then maybe a month or 2 subscription, and go from there. If that's the new model, that's just unfortunate, because it just doesn't, I guess, feel what MMOs could or should have been.
And they're not like super hard fighting internally, so we don't feel that. All we feel is the corporate PR side. Because
well, sure. Remember, even on the topic of boosts, there's like a 2019 interview where one of the pretty important people from the Classic team said they're not going to do boosts, like, because they want to ruin the feel of Classic.
that was in Reddit AMA.
There we go.
Do you know who it was?
No,
It was John Haidt.
John Haidt, who said
Pretty
that?
sure it was John Haidt. I'm not 100%, but I'm like 95% sure it was.
Or maybe
John
it was at least it was perhaps an AMA where John Haidt was one of the people working it in the Blizzard side.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it was his name.
Oh, gotcha.
Actually, let me.
Well,
just...
in that case, it's pretty awkward being like, this date, we won't do this. This date, money, please.
But then Classic and Classic TBC aren't the same game.
yes, the TBC experience where
Yeah.
that's it. No, it's just they're making it authentic, like with being an eBay player, right? Because that's what we used to call it back then. We're
That's
like, oh yeah,
exactly what it
you're a
is.
fucking eBay hunter.
Yep, that's exactly
There was a
what
lot
it
of
is.
eBay hunters.
So what they're referring to right here, if you guys don't know, and I've kind of brought this up in other videos, is that when people talk about monetization, MTX, etc., and villainize the developers for it, and say like the world was better like before this, the world was just the same. And what they're referring to is that people would go to eBay to buy and sell characters. People would go and like there's always been a market for it, and that market then ended up shifting from third party or fourth party or whatever into kind of the developer, and that's where it becomes such a tricky issue, because it's definitely not a feel good issue. It doesn't feel good to spend money and have your character kind of do this thing, because for players who've been playing, you have a bet like it's like, yeah, you really haven't earned it. But then for players who are like, well, I want to catch up because all the marketing is advertising around the new stuff, and I want to go play the new stuff. And it's kind of say, in 14's case, like, I guess you got to get to work. I guess you got to spend 400 plus hours catching up to the game itself.
A lot of people
sure.
who mained and level their own hunters are also basically the friggin' skill of an eBay hunter. hence the incredible reputation that my main class has got.
Yeah,
eBay Hunter.
nice one.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice one. Yeah.
So that is essentially our situation with there being no BlizzCon. I think for the other Blizzard games, people already know what's
Yeah.
going on there. I mean, there is potentially the WoW mobile games. They could be announced during Games Fest. They could be announced during like a PAX or a Gamescom or something like that. I don't think they will announce them at a BlizzCon where they would be a mainline announcement. I think they only do them at a BlizzCon where they have a WoW expansion announcement, and then they can talk about the mobile game after, where people will feel like their main appetite's been sort of met.
Yeah.
So that's basically the situation.
Yep. But before we go to our next topic,
Ah.
very secretly scarily, I mean, I am genuinely being like ingenuous with this, or like disingenuous with this.
Yes.
I'm being disingenuous with this because this is a lot of like kind of like monthly events and stuff. But it's just the idea where like, when's all this content coming out? And then you go, there's FF14
Yep.
at FanFest going. Here's our schedule until Endwalker, by the way.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking like 5.55, that's more MSQ.
That's more MSQ, a bunch of updates and extra content for existing systems and things. So more stuff for the
Right.
Bosnian Southern Front, which is a whole big system in and of itself. Extra relic steps for your relic weapon, which is a weapon that you upgrade throughout an expansion. And it's a massive grind, but it's a kind of North Star thing where you're spending a lot of time. And it's basically the nicest looking one that you will kind of replace with patch weapons or in-game content weapons until you upgrade it later at a later stage. And then Make It Rain is just I think I actually don't know what this is, but I know it's related to the
The Golden Saucer, and honestly, you totally should take a part in it. It's going to be these are a lot of fun, little fun events. Takes place sharing you with that current MGP, so you can get Golden Saucer stuff.
Manderville Golds.
Yep.
Mandeville
is that
Gold Saucer?
content?
Yes, you got it.
So this is some light amount of content.
So like, it's
So
basically
this is-
not much.
Yeah, so I would say it's similar in concept to WoW's seasonal events, just significantly better.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember it's around Valentine's Day, they do Little Ladies Day, which is just a little thing of like, almost like Orphan, like Children's Week in WoW, but it has a really nice attached quest line, and you end up going around helping all these like little orphan people. It's really nice, but anyway. And then 5.57, 5.58, we don't know what's going to be in these,
Okay.
but it is largely just smaller updates to existing systems, kind of.
Yeah,
Like going,
558.
okay, we'll let
558 being the world the data center visit system that is currently planned, and most likely, in August's time frame, and little adjustments, little updates, to the overall like end game grind and things like that.
we'll loosen lockouts, stuff like that.
Yep.
We'll loosen restrictions on current end-game content, things like that. And then Moonfire Fair / The Rising is another one of those events. FF15 collaboration is just get some rewards.
Get a car.
Yeah, it's like
Get a car.
go speak to these characters, go do your daily content and get rewards, get like unique currencies while this event's active, trade them in for this. Because that's what they did over FanFest. I think it might still be active, but there's certain things you do that you just do your like daily content and you'll get this currency, and you can go to a specific vendor and go, oh, here's limited time rewards for playing while this is active. And then obviously November is Endwalker.
Yeah, which is, I think,
Endwalker.
probably, well, literally, 30% more story content, according to Yoshi?
Yoshi P has said that to PC Gamer, and also said everything, basically everything has been massively upgraded, including combat. I saw someone talk about PvP changes in Endwalker that are going to actually make PvP a thing.
I really want PvP to be a thing, and it's cool if you don't, but I think that is kind of the missing pillar that Final Fantasy XIV has struggled with this whole time. Namely because that's a great piece of content that can help fill in gaps in the PvE content, and it's not that everybody has to dive into it. It just needs its supporting systems, and they continue to add on and made it like kind of like there hasn't been a solid foundation and everything's just been built on it. I hope this is them foundationally setting something that can be really exciting to participate in.
Oh,
I actually haven't looked into those, but because PvP is not really it exists.
It exists.
But only in instance things, and it's not a super
Just
part
not,
of the game. Yeah, so that's but there's the fact that like it is now their expansion's out in November. It's now May. We know everything that's going to come out.
I think, so it's mainly then a thing about optics, where Blizzard looks not sure of itself, all of that stuff. Optics-wise, FF looks at the top of its game, and with confidence from the team.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that, like, just the way that it comes off to viewers, right? Like, FF, it does... I think even if you don't really like what FF tries to do, it probably still seems like they have more of an idea of what they're doing, and they have just got their stuff sort of down pat more than Blizzard do. And
it can't be, like, even underscored enough, just the level of effort, and that, I think, is one of the things that is why this keeps happening, why you keep seeing kind of the WoW refugee tag. You'll see people go back and play 9.1, and that's fine. You'll see that, like, they'll go back, and then it's like, okay, cool. And then overall, like, 14 just continues to deliver. Content is king. Content is king. Content is king. Deliver, deliver, deliver. And, yeah, it might not necessarily always speak to you, but taking a break, coming back, all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's all these, I really miss this game. It's what you feel it right when you step into the world.
I think even the people who don't have interest in FF could at least sort of analytically see how it would look that way. So, yeah, that's the situation. Blizzard schedule, no BlizzCon, no surprises.
No surprises. But it did give us a very interesting way to talk about their entire schedule.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up. This was a little bit shorter video. Honestly, I think that's kind of the perfect length. Well done, guys. Well, Blizzard really needs to get to work. I honestly stand by. I don't know if I said it in this video or the second video. Honestly, these are blended together. Personally, at the core, like they just, I advocate for WoW too. I advocate for a new engine, a new way of kind of revisiting and updating the world and the story and the lore. I would like to see that. I think one of the things that, it's awesome to see that, and as long as they connect it to the core game, I'd be willing to give it a shot. But at this point, like I've seen what I've seen, I've experienced what I've experienced, and people can say how good it gets, and that's also 14. It's it's a whole different bag of chips. And I obviously have a preference. I obviously have my bias. I obviously have my time with the game, and I'm keeping enjoying it. And it's so I would recommend you guys either go watch these videos, hit those likes buttons on these videos as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what Chris thinks here later today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. And again, check out all the different content. Links should all be in the description, guys. For Ginger Prime, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care.